For this video, I don't really have a story to tell. Because happiness is often so hard to pinpoint when you were happy. What is happiness? When were you truly happy? I am able to pinpoint a certain period in my life that I have been very unhappy, depressed. I felt like an empty husk, no purpose, didn't really do much with my days, with my time. It's hard to explain these periods, but the best way I can tell my story is to just tell you that I've been exactly where you are right now. I don't have to tell my story because you already know it. If you're watching this guide, you might be living it. You're probably living it, the exact same as me. I'm making this video especially for a good friend of mine, and I'm gonna treat all of you like my best friend, because we're all the same. There's no difference between my best friend's problem and yours. You all feel the same way, and you all feel the same way I did back then. I have researched over 5 hours of content of Andrew Huberman and a Yale University course on the science of happiness and well-being. And I have condensed it into, 1 hour? 1.5, 2? I need you to pay full attention to what I'm saying. Absolute full attention. No scrolling, put me in full screen, look straight into my eyes. I have the willpower to watch this until the end because that is the only way I can help you. I cannot help you if you decide to click away, because then you're just fooling yourself. And that's why you've not been getting happier. I want to start this off with an actionable step. There's a link in the description that leads to a survey conducted by Yale University, the course that I took. I want you to take this survey, which lasts about 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes max, and just keep the statistics for this video because you'll need it later on. We'll mention it sometimes throughout this video, and some topics you might not understand unless you do this test. So as an actionable step right now, take that survey, look at your scores, just keep the tab open, just keep the scores open, or you can even fill out your email so they'll send the statistics and the scores to your email address. Do that right now. Chapter 1, you deserve to feel unhappy. Me saying this might come as a surprise to you. You might instantly think, oh, this guy's toxic. I'm gonna stop watching him. He's toxic. What is he talking about? I deserve to be unhappy. He wishes death upon people. Burn him at the stakes. Calm down. That's not what I mean. Well, it is what I mean. What I mean by this is that I firmly believe in the fact that our actions must have consequences. If you're feeling unhappy, if you're feeling depressed, if you're fat, it's because of the actions you're taking. You deserve to be unhappy because you've been taking the actions that lead towards unhappiness. What do you think will happen when you constantly indulge in what makes you unhappy, but you think that it somehow makes you happy, even though that's a coping mechanism? You deserve the consequences of your actions. I deserve to be skinny because I'm taking the actions that lead me to staying skinny. I'm not eating enough. I'm skipping on the gym. Well, not skipping. I literally don't have a gym membership at the moment. I will in September, because then I'll be in Belgium, whatever. Mine is already trying to cope. Actions that I personally take are keeping me skinny. So I deserve to be skinny because I'm taking the actions that lead to me staying skinny. So as an actionable step, second actionable step, seriously, this is serious. Actionable step, write down why you deserve to be unhappy. Seriously, write down just take a few minutes to write down the actions you're currently taking that have the consequences of you being unhappy. What are you doing in your day-to-day life that makes you deserve feeling unhappy? I could seriously end the guide here if I wanted to, but I'm going to give you as much info as you might possibly need so that I can eliminate all your limiting beliefs and give you as much value and knowledge as possible. Because I could just end it right here. You could already be settled with this one actionable step. Just write down what you're doing that has a consequence of making you feel depressed. But that's exactly the problem. You don't know what they are because you're coping and telling yourself, no, this couldn't possibly be it. It couldn't be the video games. I like video games. Yeah, when you were like fucking 7 years old. If you were to take a screen recording of you playing video games on your own, if you put a webcam right there like a camera, and we record you just playing video games for 5 hours straight, you wouldn't smile more than 3 times. I honestly believe you wouldn't even smile once. So why are they fun for you? It's the mindset you have around it. It's coping, it's make-believe. Mindsets are going to be a big part of this video. Limiting beliefs are going to be a big part of this video. Habits, thoughts, feelings. So what the structure of this video is going to be, I'm going to literally just list up all things that you might think make you happy, but don't. They're bullshits. Then I'm going to tell you what thoughts, so mindsets you can have to make you happy, habits you can have to make you happy, and feelings you can have to make you happy. And I'm going to give you actionable steps for each and every single one of these. I'm going to give full scientific explanation with studies done. So none of your limiting beliefs or coping mechanisms can jump in after this video and pretend and tell you, no, he was lying about this. We like playing video games. We think it's fun. We're not depressed when we're playing them and feel alone and empty. And we'd rather be doing something of purpose, of value as men. Just write down now. Write some down, but continue after the video. Because I guarantee that right now, your coping is jumping up, but try to resist it. When you hear your mind making excuses, write it down anyways. Because if your mind is making excuses for it, it's most likely an actual action that's leading to this consequence. For the second thing in this actionable step, after you've wrote down all of these actions that lead to this consequence, I want you to change all of these actions to something else with everything you're going to learn in this video. And do this for every single thing that you've written down, right? This is an actionable step, so you have to promise me that you're going to follow up on this. Otherwise, there's no point in this guide. The only way I can't change anything. I can only guide you, help you, give you the knowledge that you need. The only person who can change you is you. So if you're not doing this actionable step, if you decide to just cope and not do it, if you decide to not follow along and don't take anything seriously that I'm saying, you're gonna stay unhappy. You're the only person who can change you. I can only give you the knowledge that I found to aid you and guide you into just making it easier to become happy. But I can't put a magic spell on you by watching this video that will just make you happy. I can't. This is self-improvement, not YouTuber improves you. Chapter 2. What even is happiness? It's such a difficult question of what even is happiness? We hear it all the time, happiness. But what is happiness? Well, happiness, when we give it a scientific term, is also called subjective well-being. With subjective well-being, we have a positive affect or a negative affect. People think that in order to be happy, we have to get rid of the negative affect. The negative affect being all the negative feelings, emotions, and thoughts. And positive affect are all the positive emotions. People assume in order to be happy, we need to get rid of all the negative affect. So all the negative emotions. This is not the case. We need some of these negative emotions. We need some of this discomfort because that's how we survive as a species. We need some level of fear, stress, fight or flight, discomfort. We need this in order to survive. You can't just get rid of them. There's a quote from someone named Susan David, who actually wrote a book about happiness. And she says that discomfort is the price of admission to a meaningful life. You need discomfort, bro. You can't live without it. Because that will just be fake happiness, pretend happiness. And we don't want that, because that's the worst kind of happiness. Is it selfish to be happy? No. Chapter 3, I'm just kidding, I'm gonna give more of an explanation, okay? Don't worry, there's even another segment after this anyways, so don't worry about that. No, it's not it's not selfish to be happy. In fact, studies have been done and have shown that people are actually more giving when they are in a good mood. Because happiness is not a selfish goal, nor does it make you selfish. More happiness, or an increase in happiness, has been shown to make people more social and kinder to others. This is the feel good, do good phenomenon, in which when people are in a good mood, will more likely do good things for other people compared to when they're in a bad mood themselves, because then they kind of wish the same feeling on other people. If I'm sad and depressed, why should I help someone be not depressed and sad? Why should I help them? I'm miserable myself. But when you're in a good mood, it's just like, let's help everyone. Environmental factors. With this, I want to say that life circumstances do not determine happiness. They've done a study with lottery winners, and to see that level of happiness or contentment between lottery winners and non-winners. What do you think the results were? They weren't really happier than the non-winners, because we think that it's always the external that we have to change. It's always the external that's at fault, that's making us unhappy. But it's internal. Internally, you're like a rotting tooth that we need to pull out. Nothing external that you'll change will make a difference when the internal is still rotting, because then you're just coping. So life circumstances or environmental factors do not come in play. Your life situations are different, of course they are, for every single person, but I don't care what your situation might be like. It's not the external, it's the internal. The benefits of being happy, besides being happy already being a benefit on its own, there are multiple studies that show other benefits beside just, well, feeling good. So by just being happier, we seem to get higher job statuses. We seem to get a higher paying salary. We get better at problem solving. I don't know how either. They took, I think, 2 groups of surgeons, and they're like the typical, oh, no one can cure this, but can Doctor Who do it? Or something like that, you know, like the typical kind of surgery or problem that's very difficult to solve, no one could really solve. And they took 2 groups and they put one group at like a little cat video before the problem solving. And the group that watched the cat video actually was able to solve the problem relatively quickly, or way quick. I don't even think the second group was able to solve the problem at all. So just by being happy, watching that fucking little silly cat video, and becoming more happy because of that video, they were able to solve a problem that the other group wasn't able to solve. And they had like the same degrees, same studies, they were specialized in the same field, medical field, everything was the same. The only difference was that the other group watched a cat video and the other one didn't. We have better relationships when we're happy, which is a massive benefit on its own, because as we'll see, social connection is one of the largest things that leads to happiness. We have less sickness when we're happy, and we have a longer lifespan as well. Literally, you'll live more by being happy. And I think you already know that. For this, they did a test with nuns. So they took, yeah, they did a test with nuns and to take the group who was happy, the happier group versus a less happy group. And the happier group lived way longer, or a large percentage of the happier group lived way longer than the other group. So a lot of these studies are very funny. Chapter 3, Little Bullshitting Lizard Brain. I hope by now you already kind of understand that happiness will have massive benefits for you, but you already knew that because you were seeking happiness in the first place. But the problem is what your beliefs about happiness currently are, because your little bullshitting lizard brain is telling you certain things that you think will make you happy, but they won't. Your mind is lying to you. And I'm gonna tell you all the little bullshits it's telling you, one by one. Get ready because there is quite a lot of them, and some of them are quite shocking as well. A lot of these bullshits, as you'll see, stem from the same mindset, the same phrase that we tell ourselves. If only I had ... I would be so happy. That's a belief we have so often. If only I had this thing, this car, this t-shirt, these shoes, I would be so much happier. That's why we buy stuff in the first place. But you wouldn't be. And deep down, you know you wouldn't be. You know that thing won't make you happier. But you buy it anyways. This is because of something called miswanting. Miswanting is the action of expecting something to be more life-changing than it actually will be. You want something because you believe it will have a large effect on your life when it won't. This is miswanting. It's a psychological phenomenon that happens a whole lot and probably will be happening with you as well. Bullshit 1. Money and awesome stuff. For this, I'm gonna give you an experiment that was conducted in 2010 in which they polled 450,000 Americans to see how salary predicts happiness. How does salary predict positive affect, not blue, and stress-free? By the way, the not blue means that the study group wasn't reporting any worry or sadness. That's not blue. And then the rest is pretty obvious. Positive effect, positive emotions, stress-free, they not reporting any signs of stress. So what was the conclusion of this study? Well, for one group, they saw that if the group had a low income and they raised it to a higher income, there was an increase in the positive affect, an increase in the not blue, and an increase in the stress-free. Meaning that if you have a low income or you're poor and you get a higher income, you will become happier. The difference is in the other group. The other group showed that a annual salary over 75,000 per year, suddenly all effects of positive affect, not blue, and stress-free flatlined. It didn't go up anymore, didn't go down, it just stayed the same after a yearly salary of 75,000. And the fact that the average salary, annual salary, is 60,000 means that for most people, a higher income wouldn't matter that much because most people on earth seem to already get, because if the average wage is 60,000, that means a large portion of the world already gets a salary of 75,000 a year, meaning an increase in income won't make you happier. Of course, this is if you're an adult watching this, but if you're a student, earning money, your first money, I'm pretty sure it will make you happy. But I just want you to know, if you're the same age as me, around the same age, you're a teenager worrying about money, just know that money won't particularly make you happy. There's a famous phrase we all know, money doesn't buy happiness. Do I agree with this phrase, yes or no? Well, it doesn't really matter, but I'll just give my insights. Yes. Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that money is a ticket to happiness. It is an allowance ticket to happiness. Knowing the fact that money doesn't buy happiness. No matter what you buy, no matter what you get, it won't make you happy. But it's the effect of money. The fact that you have money at your availability at any moment. That's why having money makes you happy. It's not the money itself. It's not the things you can get with money. It's just the kind of free ticket you get with money. You don't have to worry about things anymore because you have the money for it. You need something, you can pay for it. Oh, but my diet, this is my diet. Don't have to worry about it. You can just buy it all now. Oh, but how? Oh, I want to live like our ancestors in a cozy, nice house like the forest with just a open fire. You can buy it now. Oh, but I can't just abandon all this because then no worries. You already have money on your bank account. Money isn't the thing that makes us happy. It's the freedom you gain by having money that makes us happy. But that's where we get into the other stuff, the awesome stuff part of money. So we already know that money in itself doesn't make you happy, but what about the things that money can buy? What about that? Once again, I did a study on this, and this was, let me just read it out loud. A materialism study, Richards and Dawson, 1992. They did this study to find a correlation between materialism and life satisfaction. What they found out with this, the results of the study were that when materialism increases, the subjective well-being decreased. So what they found was that when there was an increase in materialism, there was a decrease in life satisfaction. You buy the fancy car, you get the fancy car, you drive around in it 3 days, awesome, oh, this is so awesome. And then what? You get bored of it. We'll discuss this as well. We'll discuss this later on as well. There's another thing that goes into this. But our minds get used to things and adapt so quickly that when you buy something, it might be fun. Maybe it will be fun for like the first day. But afterwards, you don't get the same satisfaction from it. So you buy something else and the same thing happens. Meanwhile, if you're content with just the simple things, with more of the internal and the external that's already there in terms of nature, and that you just have, just the simple stuff, gratefulness and satisfaction will go up. I hate the fact that nowadays we have this term escaping the matrix, and I agree with escaping the matrix, escaping the rat race. But what's wrong is that all the people telling you to escape the matrix are the most stuck in the matrix. Why? Because they're so focused on external stuff that won't make them happy. People who are telling to get out of the matrix are the most in the matrix, are the most enslaved in the matrix than anyone else. You know what escaping the real matrix really should be? Don't care about money. Of course, not many people will do this, but I think when you just stop caring about money and you don't care about money as a currency, that's when you escaped. Because now this isn't holding you back anymore. Think about it. Money, you're scared of spending money. You're scared of investing because, oh no, money is this thing I need, and save up, save up. Just visualize with me if you saw like a room of the Matrix. What you imagine these people like, these people that are enslaving you or over you in a sense. And they see someone like you who just decided to give up all his money, stop caring about it, go out of his house and just go live in the forest of the grid and hunt wild animals, go fishing, read books. That's a person that they'll be scared of. That's a person who's escaped the matrix. Bullshit too. Grades. If you're still a student, you're trying to achieve high grades because you think that getting good grades will make you happy. Once again, they won't. And I have another study for it. This was the Kahn study in 1993. Yeah, 1993. They wanted to see the correlation of GPA and well-being. There was a negative correlation. So as scores were higher, satisfaction was lower. This is due to multiple factors that we'll learn in this video. The mindset, the perspective, comparison. Because everything is in here, everything is in the mind. Everything that I'll tell you right now, these bullshits, of these limiting beliefs, it's all because of your mindset. I'm not going to go too deep into this topic because I don't really think talking about grades is that important. There's way more important stuff to get to. So we'll just go straight into bullshit 3. Screen time and social media. Perhaps the largest cause of unhappiness, but that we think is actually something that makes us happy. Because we think that it's social connection, that we're using it to connect with our friends, and we get dopamine hits from it. So it's our brain is making us believe that it's making us happy, that we need, that we crave, that we find it fun. But it's because of dopamine levels. It's not because you actually find it fun. Same thing with video games. If we were to actually put a camera in front of your eyes and look at you scrolling on your social media, you'd look empty you look like you were just not there at all. It's like a phone took over your mind. A study was done where they took candidates and they put them on the phone 1 hour per day, and the study showed that 1 hour per day on social networks reduces the probability of being completely satisfied with life overall. 1 hour per day. And if you're watching this guide, you're not sitting on your phone 1 hour a day, are you? How much is it really? Can you even say? And what you're going to say is probably wrong. Oh, 3 hours, 4 hours? Check your phone. Check your phone. You can see your phone. You can even see it for the separate apps. If you go to your settings, go to like phone well-being. It's very fun. It's called well-being, by the way. And you go there, you can see the hours spent on your phone. And you can even go to extra or more or show more. You can see for every individual app how much you spend on your phone that day. There are people on their phone nowadays for 19 hours a day. 19 hours a day. I was in Japan recently on vacation, and we were of like a group, so it was like a tour group for 3 weeks. And I heard what there were like people around the same age as my sister, and they were talking, and I almost heard someone say in a proud voice and tone, "Oh yeah, I have 19 hours a day." Almost in like a proud tone of like, "Oh yeah, like it was like a competition who had the most hours." So for that kind of multiply that by 19. 1 hour a day has the possibility to reduce your life satisfaction overall. Your overall satisfaction with life with 1 hour a day. Multiply that by 19. What the fuck do you think you're doing to yourself then? So what we can do about this, first of all, is differentiate passive and active use. Passive use is when you're, like most people, sitting there, scrolling, looking at other people, looking at other posts, and just passively consuming. You're not really doing anything yourself to social media. You're just kind of on it, looking, scrolling, getting those dopamine hits in. So a small thing we can do is start using social networks, social media more actively. If you are on social media, use it more actively, post something, be active like a community, find communities to talk in. But really, honestly, I don't recommend this because I just believe you should cut out all social media as much as possible in general. If you're not using social media to actually do something for business, for work, like I'm using YouTube, not to watch YouTube anymore, but to post online, you shouldn't have more than an hour on your phone, really. Really, I'm being serious. You shouldn't have more than an hour and a half on your phone per day. Because what do you use it for really then? It's so fucked up for us. And they fucked it up for us, bro. So stop consuming it. They've designed these apps to be addicting, to take our soul, so to speak. So try and cut it out as much as possible, if not at all. Just completely. Of course, I'm going to give you things to replace this with. And I hope I'm not being too boring with this video right now, because we're already 50 minutes in. And I don't know if I really have, if I've said much up until now of value. So I hope I did, but just keep watching, bro. It's gonna help you eventually. Eventually you'll find something gonna be like mega eye-opening for you. Maybe I've already said something that for me it's almost common sense at this point. It's almost like, oh yeah, duh. Common sense is kind of stupid, but still, you know what I mean. But for some people watching, for you, it might genuinely be like a revelation of, fuck, he's right. I've been looking at it the wrong way, but I don't believe that personally yet. But I do believe you'll find something in the future segments. So just have patience, keep watching. Once again, have the willpower. If you've already clicked off, if you're like starting to click off, I'm sorry, but you deserve to be fucking depressed and unhappy. Seriously, you deserve it, because if you can't even fucking pay attention to a guy who's literally explaining happiness and how to become happy to you over like 2 hours, you deserve what's fucking coming to you. 2 fucking hours, bro. You'll be spending that on your phone, on Instagram. You'll be spending 2 hours searching for a video to jack off to. Seriously, what the, like, bullshit 4. Affective forecasting. Affective forecasting is our predictions of our feelings. So what our feelings are going to be for this day, for the coming day, and for the rest of the week. What we predict our feelings are going to be like in a certain event. Or what our mind more so predicts our feelings are going to be like in future events. The thing that affective forecasting messes up in is the intensity and the duration of our feelings. We over-exaggerate them. This is because of something called impact bias. We've all been there, right? In this sort of situation, you get back a test, you got your grades, they were kind of bad. How did you feel? You were kind of disappointed, you had some bad, negative shit, lizard brain thoughts again. Like, oh, I should have studied harder, and my parents are going to be disappointed. We'll get into this later as well, by the way, these kind of thoughts. It's all psychology. You think this is all you? It's all psychologists just ingrained in us, programmed into us. You're not alone in this. You're not special. It's happened to almost everyone. So don't worry, whatever situation you're in, there's an explanation and a study for it, I promise you. We'll find something. But anyways, you got back a test, had a bad grade. How did you feel like? Kind of disappointed, kind of like, oh, I should have studied harder. A few minutes later, you've already forgotten about it, right? You're not like, oh no, what am I going to do? My life is ruined. That's not what happens. The thing is, the next time you study for a test, you make the test. What do you feel like now? Exactly as I just described. It's like, oh no, and I did so bad, and what if I get bad, and my parents are going to be so mad, and oh no, my life is going to be ruined. Because we don't learn from our failure, the accuracy doesn't go up. The accuracy of the active forecasting doesn't go up with failure. When we notice like, oh, we failed, but it wasn't that bad. Our mind doesn't suddenly go like, oh, I guess it wasn't that bad then. Okay, for the next test, I'll reduce the amount of the intensity and duration of this feeling, of my prediction of this feeling. It won't. They did a study on this, once again, a driver license study, where they failed multiple times, and every single time their prediction of what was going to happen if they actually failed was much worse than how they actually felt when they failed. Every single time, and they failed multiple times. This is active forecasting. and we're going to go into separate bullshits around active forecasting. So bullshit 4.2, hedonic adaptation. Hedonic adaptation is where we get used to a positive or negative stimulus. As I explained earlier with the bullshit about money and awesome stuff, that it doesn't make you happy and that when we buy something, you'll get used to it easily. That's what I was talking about, hedonic adaptation. So the more we get of a same stimulus, the less reward we get out of it. The more we get used to it. This is the reason, the main reason for miswanting. Because things that we think will make us happy won't actually make us that happy because we've already gotten used to it. And when we do get it and it makes us happy, we'll just get used to it very quickly. Because once again, as I said with the bullshit number 4, our forecasting messes up the duration of the feeling. And the thing is, it's the same for things that make us miserable. It's not only things that make us happy, also the things that make us miserable. We adapt to the negative stimulus. And there's an even larger impact bias towards the negative events. We don't take into account our psychological immune system. You know how you have the biological immune system? We have a psychological immune system as well, trying to protect us from these bad feelings, such as blaming external stuff. When you get a bad grade, we're like, oh, the teachers are stupid, they just hate me, they're a bitch. I like my math teacher. I said, oh, no, I'm not gonna say which one, so if they eventually see this video, they won't know which one, because I've had many math teachers. But, she's a bitch and oh, it's her fault and oh, no. We try and blame, like, shove it to other people, like, no, it's not me, it's them, it's that, it's they. And sometimes that is the case. Like social media, I don't really think it's us. It is us for a large part. But they are the main reason. They're the one who caused this that's making us miserable. They designed these things to be like this intentionally. So they're really at fault. But anyways, that's something else. We don't take into account our psychological immune system blaming things on external, blaming stuff on the external. When forecasting our emotions, we don't take them into account. And that's what makes the impact bias so much larger towards negative events, because we just don't take them into account that we'll just shove it onto something else. We assume we'll instantly take it upon ourselves and make it much worse than it actually is. And the worst part about this is we don't notice. We don't notice this hedonic adaptation and forecasting going on. It's all subconscious. It's psychological. And this is why we are afraid to challenge ourselves and take risks. Because we're scared of the outcome. We predict the outcome will be much worse than it actually will be when taking these risks. And that's why now we're so overcomfortable, even though men should pursue challenge, should pursue risks. That's what we're made for. We're made to be hunters, gatherers, warriors, strong, courageous, brave. And here we are, sitting at home scared of what might happen when we go out into the sun. Just the sun. Oh, maybe I'll get cancer. Maybe I'll get burnt. Just fucking go into the sun, bro. Come on. Our ancestors have lived in the sun days. Just the entire days outside for years. They didn't have these kind of problems. Just go outside, bro. Come on. And that's the main problem. It's because of psychological warfare, hedonic adaptation, forecasting. Now you might think hedonic adaptation is some kind of enemy, but remember, nothing that we're discussing in this video is an enemy. We should embrace all of these things. There we go. Kind of an abrupt cut right there. Whole outfit and time change. What the hell happened here? Nothing to worry about. I'm always going out to eat, bro. I'm always going out to eat. Last time there was a cut between 2 chapters. I was eating. Now there's a cut between, well, not really chapters, but between something and something. And here I am, outfit change, ate again, no worries, nothing with too much carbs this time around, so my sleep will be excelento, right? Anyways, I just want to give you a quick reminder before we go on and move on that this will only work, this guide, if you allow me to guide you. I am simply a person who is lighting the path before you. You still have to walk that path. If right now, up until now, and in the coming things I'm about to say and explain to you, you have a certain limiting belief that tells you where is the source, where is the science, where is this, where is that. If you put that wall in front of you and you don't allow me to just move it a little, or allow yourself to move it a little, I can't help you. You have to allow me to come through the door. You have to open the door for me. I can't just bash through it. You have to put it open for me and say, okay, I'm willing to listen, but I'm just gonna listen because it's self-improvement. I just give you the knowledge. You see what fits you, what fits your schedule, how you can implement this. You don't have to implement everything I'm saying, just what works for you the best. But there are people among you who just put walls in front of themselves, and that's where their belief stops. And I can't help you. If you don't allow yourself to move that wall a bit further and to just open your mind, I can't help you. One of the chapters in this guide is literally called Bring Back Your Childhood. Do I have any signs for that part whatsoever? For the rest of this guide, I have studies, I have science, and all you have to do is just search it up. I'm not gonna, if you comment in the comment section, where's the source? Where's the source? I'm not gonna answer. I'm not that desperate for your view, for your confirmation. I researched this. I already went through the trouble of researching this. And if you're sitting there, where's the source though? And I know you're trying to do this out of the sense that you don't want me to spread misinformation. You don't want me to spread negative and hurtful information to the outside world. And I get that. But the thing is, what do I gain from telling you to climb in trees? Seriously, what do I gain by telling you to climb in trees when it's not scientifically proven to climb in trees and climbing trees would actually be bad for you? What do I gain by telling you this? And that's the thing. I can't help you if your belief stops there. If I tell you to climb in trees and it brings a smile on my face, it brings a smile on your face just thinking about climbing in trees, but you're sitting there going, no, 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 but there's no studies that show climbing trees actually make you happy. Where is the evidence? Where is the facts? Where is the source? I can't help you any further because your beliefs stop there. There's anecdote, not everything is facts. Belief and mindsets are a large part of how our lives go. And if you're already disagreeing with this, then stop watching. I can't help you. If you're telling me having the right mindset won't aid you in life for like 90% of your life, then I can't help you because you're just too far gone. You're so pessimistic about life that you just can't accept anything could be your fault internally. It's the 9-to-5 jobs. And do I agree that it's them? That it's outside? Are they at fault? Yes, of course they are. But is it solely them? Is it not on you at all? It is. But if you're coping so hard with everything that I'm saying, I can't help you. That's just another quick announcement that you have to allow me to help you. You have to open up your mind. If I tell you to eat meat because it's good for you, and I don't, Even though I have evidence for it, I have actual evidence. But even if I didn't, and I just told you our ancestors ate like that for generations and were fine, totally fine, and you're sitting there, no, but there's actually no evidence. Who am I hurting with this? Would it hurt you to just fucking try it for once? Eat the meat. See what happens. Just try it. Is there evidence that no fat increases testosterone? No, there isn't. No, there isn't. But just try it out, because maybe you'll feel better after doing it for 7 days, even though there's no scientific evidence that it actually will make you feel better if you don't fap. Not everything is science. Belief was able to cure a man's, or shrink a man's tumor, cancer. That goes beyond all science. People were able to regulate or determine how many calories they were taking in. They were drinking the same shake, and both groups drank the same shake, but one group was told they were drinking a high-calorie shake, and they consumed more calories than the other group, even though they were drinking the same shake. There's a study for you. There's a study. Do I need to link the source for you? There's an actual study that exists that proves how powerful belief is, but you won't accept it because I don't have the fucking source, even though I do. Watch an Andrew Huberman podcast where he talks about beliefs and mindsets. You think I don't fucking research this stuff, bro? It's literally been my life for 9 months now, and it's gonna be my life forever. Just listen to what I have to say. I'm growing alongside you. Am I perfect? No. But accept growth. If you put a wall in front of you and you don't allow it to move, you're never gonna grow. You're never gonna move forward. You're always gonna stay behind that wall. Right? So let's move on. Bullshit 4.3. Comparison. I've actually already made a video about don't compare yourself. No, compare yourself to others, not to yourself. Where I go in depth about why it's actually good to compare yourself to other people instead of just comparing you to yourself. While comparing yourself to yourself is still very good, you need to compare to other people, but people on your same kind of level. Where we make the mistake in comparison is the reference point. The people we try to compare to are just way too far out of our league. Our reference point is the standards. So reference point is a standard against which subsequent information is compared. That's our reference point. So if your reference point for wealth, for example, is Elon Musk, you're always gonna feel like you're being outcompeted. You're always gonna feel bad about your income because you're comparing yourself to the richest man on the planet. You might think that's over-exaggerated, but that's what actually happens with social media. When you go on Instagram and social media, you see people with such a happy life who are jacked and might be on steroids, honestly. But you see these people and you think, why am I so skinny? And you compare yourself to them, even though they've been in the gym for like 10 years, and some of them on steroids. Not all of them, of course, but some of them are natty. A lot of them are natty. But they've been in the gym for 10 years. You've been in like for what? 6 months? You shouldn't be comparing yourself to that person. You're not on the same wavelength, and that's the mistake that we make. Because we overestimate others' happiness. So we overestimate how happy people are based off of pictures on social media, and we underestimate how unhappy they are. Even though you can probably imagine their private life, it's a whole nother life than what they post. And this is, of course, we underestimate that because no one is posting their sadness. No one is posting when they're alone in their bedroom thinking about if they're gonna make it or not. Will I ever achieve this? Will I ever be happy? Will I ever find a wife? Will I ever find a boyfriend? Is she cheating on me? No one's taking a picture of these moments and posting online. Well, very few people are anyways. Maybe there is one person, but come on. Bullshit 4.4. Limited attention. When it comes down to attention, we have two types of attention. We have bottom-up attention and top-down attention. Bottom-up attention is unavoidable. It instantly takes our attention away. It's when your mom calls your name to eat dinner. That's bottom-up attention. It instantly grabs us. This is a very good mechanic because it serves us once again in terms of survival. It's a fight or flight mechanic. If someone yells help, or there's a fire, and you take action when hearing that instantly, that's a survival mechanic. It's built in us for a reason. It's not, once again, none of these things are our enemies. All of these mechanics have a function, and we should embrace them for that reason. But they also have a disservice now in how they're used in the modern world, such as bottom-up attention is now also alarmed by notifications on your phone. So a notification on your phone activates the same type of attention as someone screaming that there's a fire, a fight or flight situation. It's kind of like Pavlov's dog. You know the experiment. If you want another study in a source, bro, there's a dog and there's some guy and he's ringing a bell. Whenever he rings the bell, the dog gets food. After a while, whenever he rings the bell, the dog comes on its own to eat the food. He comes on its own because he now knows it's feeding time. A very famous experiment, probably explained it very shitty, but it doesn't matter because you probably already knew the experiment, so it doesn't really matter what I said about it. So the bottom-up attention works exactly like Pavlov's dog. It instantly grabs our attention and we're focused purely on that. And this is why it's a disservice in terms of notifications, junk food, nofap. Because now the things we're trying to kind of avoid instantly grab our attention because we're so used to them. Dopamine detox? Well, you've been addicted to your phone, your notification, bam, instantly grabs your attention. You're on a diet trying to avoid junk food, but you're so used to junk food, see junk food, bam, instantly has your attention, very hard to keep away from. You're trying to be on nofap, you see a woman, bam, instantly that grabs your attention and might lead to you eventually searching up porn again because you just saw a woman online on Instagram in a bikini. But that triggers that lust feeling inside of us and that desire for porn because it's like a fucking Pavlov's dog. These bottom-up attention, they take attention away from us, from the things that would actually make us happy. There's actually once again been a study conducted where they put people in certain situations like the movies, one of them was the movies, and they just let the notification go off. The participants didn't even have to engage in a notification, look at the notification, check it, read it. Just the sound, the vibration of getting a notification was enough that after hearing that, their levels of engagement and happiness with that movie dropped. Because their attention, their flow state, so to speak, was pulled away from them because of this bottom-up attention. This, by the way, was called the Izikman study, conducted in 2016. Yeah. So they reduced enjoyment of the activity we're currently doing. One of them was watching movies, another one was playing video games. So just notifications going off reduce your level of enjoyment of the activity you were doing that might have actually made you happy. Actionable step. Fight the biases in your mind. This is a huge actionable step. It's actually multiple actionable steps in one actionable step, because I'm going to give you actionable steps for each bullshit we've been through so far. So for each bullshit we've been through so far, I'm going to give you multiple actionable steps that you can do after this video, or maybe even right now. Some of them you can do right now. I'll say which ones you can do at the moment, because that's the point of an actionable step. How to deal with hedonic adaptation. One of the first things we talked about, hedonic adaptation, you might not remember, so I'll recap. We get used to a negative or positive stimulus very quickly, and when we get that same stimulus again, we get less enjoyment out of it. So how do we counteract this? It's by investing in experiences, not materialistic goods. Because materialistic goods You can keep investing in them, you can keep them, while an experience, it doesn't last long enough for us to adapt to. When you buy a fancy car, you can adapt to that fancy car in a matter of days. If you buy an experience, an event, some kind of event, for example, it's over in like 2 hours. Those 2 hours aren't enough for you to adapt to that stimulus. Therefore, you enjoy it more than investing in materialistic goods. Secondly, savoring. Savor everything. Savor the experiences. Savor whatever you're going through right now. I'm going to get into this in a later chapter called, I think it's still called the five senses, but in that chapter I'll go into this in even more detail. I think it's called mindfulness, actually. Mindfulness for mental health. In that chapter I'll go into this in more detail, but savoring an experience is a part of presence, and we become happy if we're present. Another study, I told you I studied many studies, they tested people while they were working and they were just alone in traffic and stuff. They tracked people throughout the day. I know sometimes I should know more of the specifics of an investigation, maybe perhaps, but at least I went through the trouble of finding some fucking studies, okay, for every single segment. So they put people throughout their normal daily life and they do a checkup. So they'd send a message to these people in the study, and just on a random moment, no, well, not random, certain times a day, and they'd ask to these candidates to rate their happiness on a scale, I think of 1 to 10 it was. So they did this during their work hours, down to 5 work hours, while they were in traffic, during their work hours and also during traffic, I know for sure. What they saw was that they were more happy when they were productive, being productive and at work in a flow state, than they were when they were in traffic. They were the saddest when they were in traffic, and that's because in traffic, we're not present. You're kind of standing still, you're not focusing, you're mindless, and you're going to your thoughts. And most of our thoughts are negative. If you haven't worked on your mindset and your thoughts and your beliefs, which you probably haven't if you're watching this guide, you're going to have negative thoughts. Your inner critic and your Mr. Defeat are going to be talking most of the time. So these people were unhappiest in traffic because they were mindless in traffic. Which is why savoring is such a good technique to become happy, because you're practicing presence. These people were the happiest in a flow state, because flow state quite literally means you're ultra focused, you're ultra present on a task you're doing. And that's why these people were the happiest when they were productive. Not only because they were in the flow state, but also because they were being productive. And we just like being productive. We don't like to just sit around and do nothing. We like doing stuff, whether it be talking to family and friends, sleeping. Sleeping is productive, you know. Exercising, eating a good diet, cooking, having a video call, going out with friends, exploring, walking, whatever that just requires you to do a certain thing, move your body in a certain way, or exercise some physical, even by talking, you're, exercising something, you're still doing something with your muscles and your body. By being productive, we are happy. We're happy when we're productive, when we're doing something in a flow state, totally present in a conversation, for example, once again. Then the third thing you can do for hedonic adaptation is negative visualization. You might, I don't know if you know this film, a film called It's a Wonderful Life. In this film, the man kind of sees a reality in which he didn't exist. And they saw how the people around him were doing and were treated when he wasn't around. And this made him appreciate him existing in life, that the life that he has, that made him appreciate it so much more. And that's what we can do as well. Negative visualization. Literally visualize you being dead. Visualize you being in a jail cell. Visualize you having no meals. Visualize your parents dying. This will make you more, you might think that this is toxic. Isn't this bad for you? Because you're literally pulling up negative thoughts. You're making yourself sad by this, aren't you? Not really. Once again, if you have the right mindset, because this is not happening subconsciously. You're doing this consciously with the purpose of making you feel more grateful. You're not doing this to make yourself feel sad. If you're doing it to make yourself feel sad, yeah, then it's not gonna work. But if you're doing this with the mindset that you're doing this to feel more grateful, then this is a really good way to just become so happy with what you have, so grateful with what you already have, and you won't need more stuff anymore. So your adaptation kind of feels okay now. You don't need more to satisfy your rapid adaptation. How to deal with comparison? First of all, make some new reference points. It's important. By this I mean lower the standard of the people you're comparing yourself to. Change your reference point. Instead of comparing yourself to Elon Musk in terms of wealth, compare yourself to your colleague, or maybe even someone below you. Compare yourself to someone who's doing worse than you. Imagine someone who gets a B plus as a grade, but previously got constant D's. Another person who gets A plus almost all the time, but now got a B plus. This guy who got D's before is going to be very grateful of his B plus. Meanwhile, the other guy got better, A plus. He's unhappy with the B now, because he's comparing himself to that standard. Meanwhile, the other one is comparing himself to a standard below, which is always better, right? And secondly, stop comparing yourself to media figures in general. Media figures, they've either been doing it for decades, or they're just kind of lying on the internet about themselves. I'm totally natty, bro. Of course, I'm not shitting on gym goers and saying they're all a nat. Of course, fucking not. That's depressing. If you think like that, that's just depressing, really. Then that you're once again just coping about the fact that you can't get bulky and fit yourself. You're just coping. They just had the right genes, bro. Yeah, genes do play a part in this, but it's not everything, right? So stop comparing yourself to media figures, because they've been doing this for years. They have the coaches, they have the managers, and they might just be straight up lying to you. It's very important that you stop comparing yourself to these over-the-top media figures. Some can be good, inspirational, like me, but others, you just shouldn't compare yourself to like Dwayne The Rock Johnson. It's, how to deal with limited attention. The best thing you do to reduce limited attention, to just deal with limited attention better, is reduce your smartphone time. Reduce it as much as possible. The first thing we can do to reduce that time is just leave your phone out of the way when you're doing tasks. Unless, of course, your tasks involve the phone, like this. I'm recording this on my phone. I can't avoid my phone then, right? But if you're doing a task on your laptop or on paper, you shouldn't have your phone next to you. It's only gonna distract you in one way or another, whether it be notifications or just it's a mere presence, right? If you're so addicted. Then the second thing you can do has to do with the settings. Turn off your notifications and just make it less appealing overall. Turn off notifications. Turn off, make it like black and white, put it on dark mode, turn off the blue light stuff, make it as dark as possible. Every single, excuse me, every single setting you can find in the settings menu that can make your phone less appealing, do it. You'll spend hours less on your phone if that thing looks gray, dark, empty, no notifications. Ooh, no one's contacting me. You'll spend much less time on your phone. And thirdly, use the WWW acronym. Whenever you're going to pick up your phone, question what for, why now, and what else. So what am I using it for? Why do I need to use it now? And what else can I do instead of my phone? WWW acronym, or WWW questions. Chapter 4. What actually makes us happy? I've been getting into the bullshit limiting beliefs your lizard brain might have told you. I've already talked about why you deserve to feel unhappy and stuff like that. But now, what actually makes you feel happy? What actually gives us a sense of subjective well-being, a positive affect? There's quite a lot of them because, once again, happiness is this vague concept. Happiness is not one thing. It's not like one thing will make you happy. When I say that being productive makes a man happy, and then say testosterone makes a man happy, and then say social connections make a man happy, all of which are true, by the way, you don't have to come in here and debate me like, but you said productivity made you happy, but now you say social connections, and now testosterone. It's all of them. It's all of them combined in little pieces. Social connections, for a large piece, make you happier, which is also the first one I'm going to get into. Chapter 4.2, social connections. Where do I even begin? Are you lonely? Why do you feel lonely? Why do you deserve to feel lonely? I talked to someone just a few hours ago who literally refused to seek out social connections. I was talking to him and I was just saying, yeah, I go talk to people because I want to hear their stories. I want to hear them and learn maybe from their experience because they have more experience in life than me. So it's interesting to hear their stories. I just like talking to people. I just enjoy listening to them and engaging with them, connecting with them. We're human beings, after all. And he was literally sitting there debating me on this, telling me how it's almost stupid to have social connections with someone because if your mindset is so powerful, why would you still need the experience? What? Yeah, you just said that these people, they have more experience than you. Why would you need to learn about their experiences if you have these powerful mindsets? And I know maybe that you're watching this video. And if you're watching, bro, what the fuck were you on? Are you debating me on whether or not we should strive to talk to people? You were literally saying that, no, I don't want to talk to some homeless bum. Who said that you needed to talk to a homeless bum? And if you're the same as this guy I'm talking to right now, you seriously need this guide. No wonder you're fucking unhappy. Another study that was conducted showcased as a result that being lonely is the equivalent of smoking one pack of cigarettes a day. So like 12 cigarettes a day, one pack of cigarettes a day. Loneliness has the same amount of damage on your body and is the equivalent of smoking one pack of cigarettes a day in terms of how much it affects you negatively. So if you're sitting there refusing to go out and talk to people because of all the little bullshit coping shit your lizard brain is telling you, once again, I can only give you the knowledge, but if you don't move the wall, if you don't open the door, you're never going to improve. And that's where you're going to stop. And where I am going to dominate you. Because in 10 years, I'll be happy as fuck. And because I'm happy, I'll be better in everything than you are. Because you're still stuck behind that wall of your little beliefs telling you that friendship doesn't really matter. People don't really matter. And maybe that's true. Maybe that's true if you already have a purpose that is more important. Because once again, social connection is not the one thing making us happy. If you have any of these other things, but you only lack social connection, you'll most likely be happy. It's about what we value. If you don't value friendship that much, but you have other things that you do value that do make you happy, well, then that's just the thing that's on your essential fuel list at the moment. I personally can't live without social connections, and that's why social connection is on my essential fuel list. I noticed that only recently that I was going down in terms of happiness, and I didn't know why until I found out I was barely talking to my real friends anymore. And just now I talked to one of my best friends, and that made me feel so much better instantly. But if friendship really isn't a priority for you, let me just try to convince you if you are coping, and if it's still like no, then it's probably something else on this list that you must choose. You might want to try it out at least, because I do believe that social connections are a great way to start. But if you really already have a purpose, a mission that you're so focused on that makes you feel fulfilled and happy, then you don't gotta worry about this too much. But once again, I doubt you have that already. A large factor about that causes us to be so lonely is because everything's been digitalized. We now chat, we go on voice calls. We don't really hang out anymore. Is there anything wrong with voice calls and chatting? No, not really. Not really. You still talk to them, you still have some level of connection. But the thing is that we lack actual social connection. You're talking to them for sure, but you're not interacting with them. You're still behind the screen. You're not going out with them and having an adventure like you are in the video game you're playing. You're not going out and forging bonds and experiences and just trying out new things, exploring the world, leveling up. Because you're not interacting. You're socializing, you're connecting, but through a device. It will never match up. It will never match up to true. Why the heck, why else would loneliness be so off the charts in the pandemic? We still had technology. We still had Zoom, Discord, WhatsApp, didn't we? We still had social media, so why then, at that point in time, loneliness was off the charts? And as a consequence of COVID-19, a lot of people, including me, have a lot of trouble with now socializing with people. If social media truly is that wonderful technology that you claim it to be, that still allows us to be interactive with each other, then why was loneliness so off the charts after the pandemic? After quarantine? You can give me an answer because you know deep inside that you're coping. Social media interactions are not the same as real life interactions and bondings. They can't measure up. We look at the statistics of teen loneliness, which is worse than ever, by the way. The rise starts in 2012, which is exactly when social media started picking up. 2011, the phones existed and social media existed, but 2012, it really started to pick up and gain attraction. And it's also since 2012, you can see the data and the statistics of teen loneliness, male and female, rise with the rise of social media. Social media isn't making you more social. In fact, it's making you less social. Because you're a different person while you're chatting than you are in real life. Oh, trust me, I know. I am one myself. I'm totally different when I'm talking to people in real life as I am compared to chatting on Discord. It's totally different. It's almost uncomparable. That's what social media does, because we have the safety of a screen before us. So if you're now convinced that, holy shit, I've been coping, I am lonely, and maybe friendships and social connection really would be the cure, then I advise you to watch my video on if you're lonely, do this. But I can just explain it very simply. Go on a walk. Start small, go on a walk, just a walk. Then go on a walk and smile at people. That might it will feel uncomfortable, that's the point. You have to fight through the discomfort in order to grow as a person. Once again, one of the first quotes I said, discomfort is the admission price of life. You need discomfort to grow. So it might be discomfortable, but just move on. Then step 3 is go outside, take a walk, smile at people, and do a greeting. Then the 4th step is go outside, still greet people, still smile, but now also engage in a conversation. Slow down, stop, and engage in a conversation. This is how you level up your social skills, very simply. Chapter 4.3, kindness. Kindness has a physical positive effect on us. It reduces our blood levels. It decreases our blood levels. Now you already know that increased blood levels are a sign of high levels of stress. So when you have high blood pressure, that was it, reduces blood pressure. When you have high blood pressure, it's a sign you have a large release of cortisol, a large release of cortisol is equals to large amounts of stress. So by being kind, you reduce blood pressure, thereby reduce cortisol, thereby reduce stress. You become less stressful by being kind to others. Once again, a study was done where it showed, and I'm just going to say the results because I don't remember the test anymore, but the results showed that when people invested purely in themselves, it had a negative effect versus when people invested in others. And just think logically, just leave the science behind for a second. Have you ever donated to a cause? Yes or no? It doesn't have to be big, just anything. Did you feel good after contributing to that cause? Yes or no? Have you ever helped a person in any type of way? Doesn't have to be like you saved their life or anything, just give them some advice that they appreciated and help them. How did you feel? How did that make you feel? Good. It made you feel good. Doing this on my channel makes me feel good. It makes me happy to do this because I know that I am having a positive effect on people. I am helping people. I am giving you value. And if someone comments that they've been helped by my content, do you think I'm unhappy by that or something? You think that reduces my overall happiness? Of course not. It makes me more fucking happy. Because you've helped a person. So it's important to try and give people value. Just try in your daily life and give people value. Be kind to them. Say a word of kindness and gratitude to your family and your friends. Give them something. Donate to charity. Help if there's like something open for you to, how do you call it again? Volunteer. Help someone. Help a friend out. Chapter 4.4, challenge yourself. People who get into the zone feel energized. That same study that I already told you about, where they put the notifications, when people were in the flow state, they felt more energized, they felt happier, because they were totally present on the task at hand. So what are the features of flow? I'm just going to go off one by one. I didn't memorize them, so I'm just going to go off of them one by one. Features of flow: challenging but attainable goals, strong focused concentration. The activity is intrinsically rewarding. Intrinsically, so it doesn't mean that it has to be the result has to be rewarding. No. The activity is intrinsically rewarding. Just doing the activity makes you feel rewarded and energized and happy. The reward, the actual result, doesn't matter. Feelings of serenity, loss of self-consciousness, which is a good thing. It is a good thing. That's not the same as mindlessness. It's just kind of a lack of, how do you say it? You don't really notice the negative thoughts anymore because you're so focused, you're now present on something else. So it's a lack of self-consciousness. It's not mindlessness. That's not the same thing. That would be the opposite. Timeless / loose of track of time, track of passing time, lack of awareness of physical needs. Now you might think that's a negative thing, oh no, I needed to go to the bathroom and I pissed my pants accidentally. Don't worry. It's more so, for example, when you're hungry, but you're in the flow, the hunger goes away. You don't really notice the hunger anymore. When you're itchy, but you're in the flow, suddenly itch is gone. It just disappears. Currently, I'm in a flow. There are no thoughts in my mind, nothing. I don't feel anything. Of course, I feel something, but I don't feel anything. There are no thoughts in my mind because I'm in a flow state. I'm focused and present on purely this. I'm not getting negative thoughts right now. Now I am. See, in that little moment of silence, that's when. Complete focus, which is mindfulness, presence, which is very good. We'll get into that later again. And complete focus. These are the features of flow. Now, how do you actually attain these features? We have to determine a task. We want to give ourselves a task that's challenging, but we have the skill set for it. We have the right level of skill for it. So it's challenging, but we can do it. We have the skill level for it. This is something that's challenging, intrinsically rewarding, playful. It's good. It energizes us. It's not playful in the same kind of sense as a child. It's more so playfulness in the sense that it's just intrinsically rewarding doing this activity, right? So that's what we want. We want a task that's challenging, but we have the skill level for it. What we don't want is a task that's challenging, but we don't have the skill level for. Because that's just something that will make us anxious and it will cause imposter syndrome. If you do a task that you don't have the skill level for, but it's challenging, you'll feel like an imposter doing it. And you'll feel anxious, stress, cortisol. Don't want that. Also avoid doing something that's not challenging, but you have the skill level for, because that will just be boring, right? You want to challenge yourself. You want to embrace this discomfort. Embrace the discomfort, bro. As I said, their impact bias is making your prediction of what failing the challenge or doing the challenge will be like. It's over exaggerating it. Don't let it influence you too much. Also, please do watch the Hamza guide on flow state. He recently, 2 days ago, I think. By the time I'm uploading this, it's 3 days. He uploaded a full guide on achieving the flow state. So watch that guide if you want to know more about the flow state, of course. We already went to flow, now fun. Fun consists of 3 parts: flow, connection, and playfulness. Once again, playfulness not in the sense as a child, playfulness in the sense that it's just intrinsically rewarding to do that certain activity. But because we're so busy now, our schedules, especially at everyone, adults, but teenagers as well, especially teenagers, our schedules are so full. School, homework, studying. Our schedules are so full, we often forget to just have fun, to do things that are intrinsically rewarding for us, that we actually enjoy, that give us a sense of fulfillment. So what you need to do is just challenge yourself, but something that you have the skill level for. Embrace the discomfort of trying something new, of trying something that you haven't tried before, that you might fail in, honestly. I'm recording this video on August the 17th. I have to edit, export, release, and still make the thumbnail for this video and upload this video on the 18th of August. That's challenging, but it's exciting because I know I have the skill level to do it if I just put in the effort. That's what we want, because that's fun. Also, be sure to cut down on fake flow and fake fun. These are things like TV, video games, social media, things that give us a sense of enjoyment, but the enjoyment really comes from dopamine, a pleasure hormone. And once this dopamine hormone gets fried because of this certain activity, we seek out as much dopamine reward, which is why now we often don't find things that we should find fun anymore, like reading. Reading for so many people is a task nowadays, even though I guarantee that they were reading like the Fantasia, like Geronimo Stilton Fantasia books or something, constantly as a child, 300 pages with ease. But now they almost resent hating because our dopamine receptors are fried. One, because we're so busy, and two, because we heavily indulge in fake flow and fake fun. So fake fun and junk flow, cut down on these things. Actionable step, fun audit. What I want you to do is list 3 times that you would describe as so fun. So 3 times in your life that you would describe as an event that was so fun. This can be anything. Just one event, 3 events that were so fun in your own mind. If you found 3 of them, for each and every one, write down where they were, when they were, with who they were, and what they were, of course. You've already written down what they were, so who they were with, when they were, and where they were. So what, who, what, where, when. Then I want you to write down, after you've done the who, what, when, where, I want you to write down or identify fun factors. Identify fun factors. So the factors that made it fun for you. What made that activity so fun? What were the fun factors that made you say, wow, this is why I think this event was so fun. Now, if you have identified these fun factors, try and see which one of these fun factors you can implement more into your day-to-day life. Maybe I will do this task with you, just in my mind. I'll go with one, just for the sake of it. Yeah. So I really liked an event in South Africa. They had set up all these bouncing castles for us to jump around on, and a lot of them were like parkours. And I really loved one particular one that was a giant, like very long parkour, all in pink. But anyways, just a giant parkour, and I loved that moment. I was with my friends at the time in South Africa. It was it was after school, so after school hours, around 4 o'clock. I think it was in 2015, I'd say, 2015. And fun factors in an event would be the weather, so sunlight, the parkouring, and the adventurous feeling, like the competition feeling I had with friends, because we were trying to compete to complete this parkour on the bouncing castle. So these are now 3 things that I will try to implement more in my day-to-day life. And sunlight we're going to get into later, by the way. I'm already implementing that more. So sunlight, already know for a fact that's a factor that I've already been implementing more, because I now know the science behind it as well. Parkouring, I don't know, that's not not that applicable. But then competition, absolutely, that I can implement that more in my life. So now, by that one simple activity, I now have 2 things I can do in my day-to-day life as factors, fun factors that will probably make me happier. Chapter 4.5, Signature Strengths. If you filled in a survey, which you should have filled in, you will already notice the term signature strengths because you filled in an entire section on it. Go back to the statistic, pull them up. Pull up your email address or pull up the tab that you have your statistics on and just go through them. By exercising these signature strengths, we feel happy because we feel true to ourselves when doing these signature strengths, because they're signature strengths. So when we act upon these signature strengths, we feel true to ourselves. Maybe I should pull up mine as well. So my signature strengths. I don't think I have it on this mail address, which is sad. But I think one of my signature strengths, for example, was... I gotta think. Yeah, learning. Learning was like 20 out of 20. Signature strength. I'm implementing learning daily, baby. 5 hours per day. Well, 2 hours per day minimum, sometimes 5 hours. Yesterday I learned 8 hours. 8 hours to complete this guide. I love learning and I feel happy learning. So I build my day around learning now. So when acting upon signature strengths, we feel happy. So implement your signature strength, the one you score the most on. Be sure to, this is non-negotiable, absolutely include and act upon that signature strength throughout your day without a doubt. Don't make any excuses. That should be the one thing that you should be doing. It should be based on that signature strength. Because we all have different needs, we all have different genes, we all have different purposes and desires. So I can't tell you what will actually objectively make you happy. I can, based on science, but still, I can't tell you with certainty that this and this and this will make you happy, when I'm sure your signature strength will make you happy because it's based on you. You filled this in, so it's based on yourself. So if this doesn't make you happy, then you probably just have a shit identity and shit mindset. Which we'll get into, no worries. Chapter 5, Tranquiller Thoughts. In this chapter, which is divided into multiple chapters as well, we'll go into the fact that your thoughts are not you. You are not your thoughts. Thoughts are like dark clouds just passing by, but you don't disappear. Like clouds do, they pass by and disappear. You don't, you're still there. That's when you need to realize. You're not these thoughts, bro. Because these thoughts might not even be implemented or induced into you by you. That little thought you have of, you'll never be great. I don't trust people. I don't like social connections. Those beliefs and thoughts are probably not even made by you. They're purely nurture. What we need to do with this chapter is we need to forcefully change the type of thoughts you have. Through all the techniques I'm going to teach you, we are going to forcefully change your mindsets, your beliefs, your ideologies, your thoughts, forcefully. Chapter 5.2, Gratitude for Greatness. You know how people say grace before eating? They're thankful for the meal they have before them. They're thankful for the person who cooked it and that they're able to have this. That's gratitude. Grace and prayers is a sign, is a form of gratitude. Gratitude is like the scientific form of happiness. If you think of gratitude, you're quite literally happy and grateful for life. You're grateful for existence. You're grateful for everything around you. In other words, you're so content and happy with everything you already have. It's the ultimate form of happiness. So what we need to do is to force your brain to think grateful thoughts, because these won't come on its own. You need to force these grateful thoughts into your mind so much throughout the day that eventually you'll start being more grateful on your own throughout the day. And you'll start to notice that after a certain period of time, you'll also start becoming happier just throughout your day, even when you're not being grateful for everything. Because you now condition your mind to be grateful. Gratitude doesn't mean, okay, I'm content with everything I have, so this will stop here. No more improving. I'm content with who I am. I'm enough. I'm enough. I'm content with who I am. I'm enough. Wall, wall, wall. No more moving forward. That's not what this is. Gratitude is just being grateful for experiences, for everything that happens for you, not to you. So what do you need to do in order to think with gratitude? One of the things you can do, which is not in the actionable step, is negative visualization, like we already discussed previously, such as It's a Wonderful Life, the film. We already discussed this, I'm not going to get into it too much. But as I said, this will make you feel more grateful because you're accepting how great your life is now compared to how it would be in that certain situation, right? Actionable step, contact. Take your phone or go to a person nearby and send them or tell them a word of gratitude. I am grateful for you because of ... And you go on. Fill this message with as much love as you possibly can. Certainly if you're doing it online, because online is already less hard than in person, so you have almost no reason to not put as much love as you can into this message. Right now, take out your phone. Just go into your contact list and pick someone out. Send them a message of gratitude. Your mind might be bullshitting you again right now, telling you that this is cringe, that they'll think this is weird, that it's weird to send it out of nowhere. You're being grateful for someone. You're putting a smile on their face, and you're putting one on yourself. You're making both parties happy here. Try it out. I'm gonna give you some time to pause this video and send this message. So if you send this text, and maybe they already responded, who knows, you'll just have put a huge smile on this person's face, and you've made their day because they feel loved now. And now, once again, the same with, as I said, what makes us happy? Kindness. You feel great yourself. Chapter 5.3, Mindfulness for Mental Health. I've already said that people are mindless for most of the day. Their mind is wandering and they're the unhappiest in the moment of mindlessness. So I no longer need to go into detail about mindfulness or mindlessness. You already know what it is. So one of the things you can do is decrease your smartphone time, as we already discussed. But the most famous thing you can do is meditation. When you clicked on this video, you already kind of knew meditation was going to be a part of this, didn't you? When you clicked on this video, you kind of already knew I was going to mention meditation once, at least. Why do you think that is? Why do you think it's mentioned so much? Because it fucking works. Meditation is mentioned so much because it works. Oh no, it's just mentioned because it's so popular and it's just a giant Why are you still here, bro? I already told you to get the fuck out of my video. If you're that kind of person that puts walls in front of you, get the fuck out of here, come on, bro. So you know meditation is effective, but how do you actually meditate? I want you to follow along with me. We're gonna do a little meditative session together. You're gonna follow along with me because you've probably been meditating wrong because of your mindset about it once again. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna sit straight, right? We're gonna close our eyes. We want to focus on something in the present moment. So the most popular thing is the breath, which is why we'll also be focusing on our breath. But you can also focus on sounds or bodily sensations or sensations around you. But the most popular one is breath, so we're going to focus on that. So that's the first step. Focus on something in the present moment. Then the second step is to lose focus. Now already you might be thinking that that's wrong. No. The purpose of meditation is to ignore thoughts. Is that we should have no thoughts at all. I actually spoiled the bit that you should do. Is that we should have no thoughts at all. You're wrong. It's to ignore it's to let the thoughts pass by. Realize that thoughts are just thoughts and they're not reality. They're not us. But the only way to do that is to actually let and embrace the thoughts that come along. So focus on something in the present moment. Let your mind drift away from the thing you were focusing on. Then realize you were losing focus. This is where people get angry. People get angry at this. It's like, oh, I lost focus, I messed up, fuck. You're ruining meditation. Losing focus is a part. You're supposed to lose focus. It's an inherent part of meditation. So you lose focus, you realize you were losing focus, and you refocus. So you realize you were losing focus, and then you focus on the thing you were focusing on again. So you refocus, you regain your focus. And that's kind of like the framework you should follow. So focus on something in the present moment. Lose focus, mind drifts away. Realize your mind was drifting away. And refocus. And just in a loop like that. I think I forgot one step of the framework, but it works like this as well. I think I forgot one step of the framework that I normally use, but it's whatever, bro. It's whatever. I made a video about mindfulness in the past, about presence and mindfulness. So just scroll back. You'll see something with a thumbnail with presence in it. I go through the full framework in there as well, and I go through the full 4 steps. So if you really want to know the full 4 steps, I think you should go there because I forgot the 4th step. Unfortunately, I'm very sorry about that. One of the other ways to experience mindfulness is through fun and flow, as we already discussed, having presence in that kind of moment. And a benefit of being mindful is that you'll just enjoy experiences way more. As I said, you're savoring the experiences. Savoring an experience is a form of mindfulness and presence. Actionable step. The 5 senses. From now on, I want you to look at the world as if tomorrow you'll be blind. Listen to everything around you as if tomorrow there will no longer be any sounds. Smell as if tomorrow all smell will have vanished, blown away by the winds of the earth. Taste as if tomorrow there will be no more food to eat. And touch as if tomorrow you will no longer be able to touch them. Everything you do, all the senses that you use, should be in complete presence. Whenever you look in the world and really visualize this, negative visualization, remember, really visualize you being blind the next day. Soak in every little detail. When you're listening to someone, listen to every little tone, change in their voice, every word they're saying, because tomorrow you might be deaf. Everything you're eating, savor it. Savor the taste, because tomorrow you might not taste it ever again. Smell something, because even if it's a bad smell, you might never smell it again tomorrow. And touch, because tomorrow you might never be able to hold it in your hands or feel it. Lose all feeling. If you can do this at the same time, you'll have achieved total presence. Like omniscient, God-like presence. You'll have achieved a flow state on like mastered ultra instinct types of level. That's when you've achieved true presence. When you can use all these at the same time. But you won't be. You have to level it up, as everything in life. So just from now on, try as much as possible, whenever you notice, like the meditation, when you notice that you're not focusing, refocus. When you notice that you're not really looking, look. When you notice you're not really listening, you're kind of drifting away, listen. Chapter 5.4, cancel the inner critic. We all have an inner critic in our mind. Some features of the inner critic are that he's over-critical, only focuses on the negative, catastrophizing / impact bias. It makes situations seem to be worse than they actually are. Minimizing the good, so it exaggerates the bad and minimizes the good. Personalization, so it personalizes the attack, kind of. It's a very personal attack that it uses against you. Mind reading, it utilizes mind reading because it's in your mind. Gives you a black and white visualization of which the world never is. It's never black and white. There's always some gray and there's always some color, but it doesn't do that. It only shows black and white. Fortune telling, and it's emotional, very emotional, because once again it reads your mind. So it's all, and it's personal, so it's always very emotional. It uses emotions like sadness, fear, anger, shame, guilt, and fear. And then also, one final thing is shooting. Shooting, as I explained earlier, very early on in the video, when we were talking about good grades and stuff. What is the kind of thought that you get when you get a bad grade? Oh, I should have studied more. Oh, my parents are going to be so disappointed. This is the inner critic. I should have studied more. That's the shooting. Oh, my parents are going to be so disappointed. That's the impact bias. You're over-exaggerating the bad while minimizing the good. And it's personal because it's your parents. And it uses the emotion, shame. This is the inner critic. If you were able to design the perfect supervillain, it would be the inner critic. And the funny thing is, we all have one inside our minds. And we let it do most of the talking and don't even notice it. What we want to do to cancel or counteract the critic is to utilize self-compassion, to realize that you're human. You make mistakes. You're not perfect. Because if we were all perfect, we wouldn't be on self-improvement. There's a little mindset I'd like to teach you that I utilize myself. It's called Mr. Defeat and Mr. Triumph. I've talked about this mindset in my identity video as well. Mr. Defeat and Mr. Triumph are kind of like the angel and the devil on your shoulder. A lot of the time, Mr. Defeat is talking, but we don't notice it. I really noticed this, for example, when I was watching a television show, a Belgian television show about the special forces. So famous Belgian actors and singers and stuff, celebrities, Belgian celebrities, were competing in the special forces to see if they could get through the special forces entrance training. So they went through 1 week, well, not really a hell week, but kind of, like 6 days or 7 days of just this week, entrance week. And there was one particular dude in this show. I could see Mr. Defeat sitting there right there. I could see him on his shoulder, telling him these lies, these thoughts, these messages of defeat. And he didn't notice because he thought that those messages, those thoughts, those beliefs were him. They weren't. They were Mr. Defeat. And if people could just wake up to this and realize that there is a Mr. Defeat talking to them, but there is also a Mr. Triumph that they don't know about, it could change so many people's perspectives and just outlook and thoughts overall. I'm going to give you more info, Mr. Triumph, with the actionable step that comes later on. But first, I want to get into chapter 5.5, change your identity. I made an entire video, if you don't know about this, 42 minutes long. Probably the most important video I'll ever release. I'm very serious about that. The most important video I'll ever release, and it's about changing your identity. I go through the entire process of helping you and writing down with you your current identity and changing it to a new identity. Because it all starts with identity. It's the roots. Identity are the roots of what makes you you. And we have to pull those roots out and replace them with new, fresh plants. So please watch that full guide. It's my channel trailer at the moment. Actionable step, little mindsets. Here I get into more mindsets to change your identity, but also the one I mentioned, Mr. Defeat and Mr. Triumph. I'm going to give you 2 mindsets to help you silence the inner critic and build a new identity. One of them you already know, to silence the inner critic, Mr. Triumph versus Mr. Defeat. Silence Mr. Defeat as much as possible. Interrupt him, literally speak out loud and call for Mr. Triumph. I quite literally go, Mr. Triumph, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to triumph, sir. Of course. We're going to triumph by doing, and it goes into details like, we're going to triumph because we're going to study and research for 5 hours. No one can defeat us in this space. No one has more knowledge than us. We're going to triumph because we're going to make our title as effective as possible. We're going to edit our video to the best of our capabilities and present this in an interesting manner. Right now it might seem kind of, because I'm not in the moment, it's better in the moment when you really have that kind of moment. It's quite literally as simple as, Mr. Triumph, what are we going to do? Well, triumph, of course. And there you have it. That's right, Mr. Triumph. And bam, that's all you need. The second little mindset that I can give you, this is for identity, is bank teller. You can also use this one for the inner critic, but you can use this one for both, really. Mr. Triumph as well, you can use them for both. Bank teller. So what you do for the bank teller is, as I said, we have these thoughts, negative thoughts. We go back to negative memories most of the time. That's why mindlessness, once again, is we're so unhappy, because we go back to these unhappy memories in the past, or we think about unhappy things in the future. So what you can do is utilize the mindset called bank teller. So by bank teller, you kind of enter the vault that is your brain, your memories, and you physically speak to the bank teller. Mr. Bank Teller, please could you pull up a moment where I was ultra disciplined? Well, of course, sir. Here's a moment where you uploaded this video on the set date you were going to upload it, even though you were going behind schedule. You're right. I did that anyways. That's a sign of discipline. Mr. Bank Teller, please give me a moment where I was very accountable. Well, of course, sir. Here you made a slight mistake while in an argument with a friend, but you were immediately able to admit the fact that you were in the wrong, you learned from your mistake, and you took action upon it. You took accountability, sir. I have this in a British accent. You can have this in whatever the fuck you want. But bank teller kind of sounds fancy, so, British. Sorry. The bank teller forces you to pull up positive memories. This is what David Goggins calls the cookie jar. So when you're in a difficult situation, you're about to give up, go into the cookie jar of memories and pull up an achievement you've already achieved, no matter how small it is. No matter how small of an achievement it is, pull that achievement up and get that same feeling of achievement you had back then and channel it into current energy. Chapter 6, Happy Habits. We've now already gone through the mindsets that you can achieve to be more happy, the thoughts. So there are 3 parts to being happy: thoughts, habits, and feelings. So we've already done thoughts. Now we're going to get into the actual actions you can take, the habits you can do in your daily life that will make you more happy, that have been proven to increase happiness and subjective well-being. Then after that, lastly, we'll get into the feelings that will make you happier. Chapter 6.2, Sport like Sportacus. I want to give you another study. This is what a study at Babiak et al. In the year 2000, where they took 156 people, all suffering from major depression, like the people that normally would be put on antidepressants. They took one group of major depressed and told them to exercise 3 times a week for 30 minutes. And the other group, they did exactly what I just said. They put them on antidepressants, one of the leading antidepressants, actually. So one of the most effective ones in the health industry. And they found out that the people who did exercise for 30 minutes 3 times a week had a significant increase in subjective well-being, even more than the people who were on one of the leading antidepressants in the health industry. Exercise outperformed antidepressant medicine. What I need you to do is exercise 20 to 30 minutes a day. You'll notice a significant increase in productivity, presence, gratitude, overall mental well-being, and also just physical well-being as well. Why do you think it's so important for people to go to the gym as one of the first things in self-improvement? Yes, for some parts to look great, but because people know that going to the gym inherently is kind of fun. It's rewarding. It's intrinsically rewarding. In the gym, you kind of get into a flow state when you're exercising. You're savoring the experience. If you're with people, with a gym or a friend, you're having social connection. You're bonding. Going to the gym or exercising has multiple benefits, positive benefits in one activity. So exercise 20 to 30 minutes a day, either go to the gym, exercise at home, take a walk, some physical activity, 20 to 30 minutes a day, significant increase in happiness. If exercising is hard for you, if you have this mental block, this limiting belief or something blocking you from exercise, or maybe you don't even like exercise that much, you need to make it fun. Make exercising fun with the things you've already learned. Maybe some mindset, maybe something that already makes you happy, such as social connection or whatnot, or maybe a feeling or one of the upcoming habits, and combine them into one habit. This is why the title of this chapter is Sport like Sportacus. Sportacus, if you don't know him, is a character from a kids show called Lazy Town. Lazy Town, as the name suggests, is a town full of lazy people. You have this video gamer, you have this fat kid, you have this ultra rich kid, you have this, I don't know what, and then you have just like this random girl, and then you get Stephanie, a human girl who joins the town and is like the mayor's cousin. And she enters the town and everything changes because she wants to do more than just sit around all day. But there's one character in the show who's an absolute Chad called Sportacus. And I'm just going to give you some clips of him doing exercises.
coming up.
Program activated. Start now.
Let's check it out. Sports Day. That's right. Today is Lazy Town Sports Day. That means that I have to get ready and fill my backpack with some sports candy. Apple. And orange. Banana. And finally, carrot. Carrot. Now I'm ready. Hi kids, I'm Sportacus. It's time for the action spinner. I put my notebook in and spin. What's it gonna be? Take it out and... the most difficult push-ups in the world. But we can do it. Okay, guys, are you ready? And down and up. Down and up. You did a great job. Whew, we're always moving in Lazy Town.
Look how much fun he's having. I have a smile on my face watching this, and I want to get into exercise now, because that's the point of the show. Literally the point of the guy who plays Sportacus, by the way, is the creator of the show. The point of the show was to show kids, to show people how fun exercising and eating healthy really is, how fun being active really is. And man, do we need a show like Lazy Town more than ever today. So sport like Sportacus make it as fun as possible through music, through little challenges or little mini games you invent, through friendships, through activities, through bonding, just anything. Anything that you've learned up until now, utilize it in combination with exercising. Chapter 6.3, Sleep like a Sloth. Sleep has already been shown to increase productivity, and productivity increase sleep, and sleep also has a massive effect on your mental health, mental well-being, and overall happiness. I've already made a full guide on sleep, a full guide on, once again, scientifically, 10 plus hours of research on this one topic, a full 2-hour long guide on sleeping. I now released it a few days ago. Go watch that guide. I'm not going to go too deeply into this because I didn't make a 2-hour guide for nothing, but what you need to know is that a lot of factors of sleep infect your daily life. I mean, brain fog, so it's not called sleep deprivation for nothing. Brain fog is called by the fact that you didn't have enough REM sleep, which is a stage in sleep. REM is the part of the sleep, is a stage in sleep that cleanses your brain from the toxins, and you need these toxins removed in order to be able to memorize, to have better cognitive functions, to avoid brain fog throughout the day, stuff like that, okay? So I already made a full guide, go watch that. Chapter 6.4, Feast like a Beast. Our diet has a massive impact on our mood and our well-being. If you eat shit food, you'll think like shit. So what do you need to do, what do you need to consume in terms of nutrition and nutrients to optimize well-being and to optimize diet? The diet we want to consume that is optimal for sleep and well-being is a diet that consists of fats and protein. A diet that is high in fats, saturated fats, and protein. And of course, you want to have eggs. Have as many eggs per day because fats and eggs increase testosterone. Testosterone increases happiness. I'll get into this later, but just know that. So diet based on fats and protein. But of course, we want to have saturated fats, meaning stuff like avocado, olive oil, meats, And it's been made to believe that fats are somehow bad, which is not the case. Once again, cholesterol, which we are made to believe is bad for us, is actually good for us, especially, well, men at least, I know for a fact, because cholesterol is actually one of the main building blocks of testosterone. It's one of the main elements of testosterone, cholesterol. And eating these kinds of saturated fats, high fats meals increase our cholesterol, meaning they increase testosterone, meaning they increase happiness and well-being. Secondly, you need to consume orange juice or fruit juices in general. I, for a large part of my life, especially self-improvement, have been avoiding orange juice and fruit juices because I always thought they were full of sugars, they were full of sugar. And sure, maybe the ones that are in like carton boxes, they are, bottles and carton boxes, they are. But fresh orange juice, it's a super drink. It's a drink made of fruit. By consuming fruit juices, you have a higher release of vitamin C. Especially citrus fruits, such as oranges, are very rich in vitamin C. Now, vitamin C supports neurotransmitter synthesis. The same way protein supports neurotransmitter building blocks, or makes neurotransmitter building blocks, vitamin C supports neurotransmitter synthesis, which causes mood regulation and positive outlook benefits. Thirdly, we want to embrace ancestral dietary. With ancestral dietary, I mean to try and eat as simple as possible. Simple and organic. Don't opt for processed foods, packaged foods. Try to go as natural, close to the source as possible. Instead of consuming seed oils, take full fat butter, grass-fed butter. Once again, as we discussed, fats, saturated fats, very good for you. So, grass-fed butter, eggs, steak, and some orange juice, which is just taking an orange and just squeezing the juice out. You now have an ancestral diet, simple, all the vitamins you need, all the protein, carbs, calories, everything you need. Try and avoid carbs in reasons for sleep. It's hard to digest. So just try to opt for as much protein, high fats, and fruits as possible. Natural, just like our ancestors. Our ancestors just went out and hunted for meats, fish, and gathered some nuts, took some honey, found some fruits, and took some eggs. That was it. That's all they ate. Imagine how warriors ate. Spartan warriors, imagine that scene in front of your eyes. What were they eating? Don't take everything literally because they were drinking alcohol and stuff, and that's not good for you at all. But, take some things into account. They weren't eating processed burgers with processed McDonald's fries, were they? Were they eating carbs? Yes. Because for bulking, carbs are actually pretty good. That you need carbs, especially complex carbs, not simple carbs. Those are bad for you. Either way. But complex carbs, yes, when bulking. But besides that, for productivity, don't really need carbs that much. Don't really need them to function at all. Chapter 6.5, Time Affluence. With this, you want to become wealthy in time, for time is the most valuable currency. When we are wealthy in time, it is the subjective feeling that we have enough time to pursue leisures and activities that are meaningful to us. Another study for you, a study at Hirschfield et al. In 2016. They have people who value money more than time and people who value time more than money. The people who value time more than money were happier than the other. Search it up yourself. Hirschfield et al. 2016. Search it up yourself, bro. Why free time is so effective. For this, I want to give you another study, which I call personally the Samaritan study. I don't think if this is the right name for it, but I just gave it that name because of what happens in the experiment itself. So this study was conducted in 1973, which, it's quite a long time ago. So they took students who were practicing to become a priest, a pastor, a priest. And they were all going to do a, let's say, not meaning, lecture on being, well, on the Samaritan, on helping other people in need. So they took three groups. One group who had a lot of time for the lecture, another group who were late for the lecture, and another group who were, kind of in the middle. They didn't have that much time, but they weren't rushed. They weren't late. And they saw, let's take the two extremes, let's forget the middle one. They saw that and so they laid a person on the street, just a random man on the street, and he had to scream for help. And they saw, because studies back in these kind of times in 1973 didn't have that many, how do we say, rules as they do now, as they weren't as ethical as they are now. So you could just do that kind of stuff back then. But right now you need to be more ethical, and you need kind of, you can't just do that anymore. But anyways, the study still happened, and it still had results. And the results are still valid. So they took the group who had a lot of time and a group who didn't have a lot of time, and they saw that the group who had a lot of time started to help the man, because they had time, they weren't rushed, so they helped the man. But they noticed that the group who didn't have a lot of time and were actually late, they weren't being a good Samaritan man, even though they were going on their way to give a lecture about being a good Samaritan man and helping other people in needs, showing that people will quite literally drop their own morals and values that are so important to them just because they have so little time, just to get on time for something, just because they aren't wealthy in time. So people will drop their values and morals that are a core part of who they are. They will drop them just because of lack of time. The thing you can do to be wealthy in time is to have an essentials few list. I have a Discord community with a link in the description, and I'll be giving a full lecture on this in the future. Essentials few list, as the name suggests, is a list of things that are essential to you. We make the mistakes as self-improvers that we try to add on onto our lives as much as possible. I'm gonna try this diet, I'm gonna try this fitness routine, I'm gonna go to this event, and I'm going to do this sleeping routine, and I'm gonna do this for testosterone, and I'm gonna do this with friends, and I'm gonna do this for social connection and relationships, and I'm gonna do this and this and that, and we try to add on more and more and more, and thereby we divide our focus. But by dividing our focus so much, we don't really make progress in any of these areas. What we want to do is try and focus on a maximum of 3 areas and have pure focus on that. That is essential for you. So you want to make a list as small as possible of things that are absolutely essential to you, to a point that you can't delete anything, and work in seasons as well. So currently I'm in the season of learning, then it will be a season of family, then it will be a season of gym, then it will be a season of testosterone, then it will be a season of exceptional sleep. And while you're doing the season, you want to just focus enough on all these other essentials, just enough so they don't backtrack. You're not making that much progress in them, but they're not backtracking either. That's what you want. Really think about what's essential for you. For me, for example, currently, I don't have meditation as an essential. In the future, I might not have friends as an essential. That might sound extremely sad to you because you can't live without friends. That's a sign that friends are an essential for you. By the way, I'm not gonna delete friends from my essential for you list. That's not gonna happen. But just as an example, if I tell you that, oh, on my essential list, I just have family, not friends, but you were like, no, I need friends, then put friends on your essential few list. We also want to make use of what's called time confetti. Time confetti is like the scraps in between to-dos. So let's say you have your essential few tasks. In between, you kind of have free time. In this free time, you want to spend your time confetti, you want to spend this time confetti on just some activity that's still intrinsically rewarding to you. Some activity that you might enjoy. Let's say if you're in college and you have a lunch break, spend that lunch break on something you enjoy. Don't spend it on your phone or TV or something that just, once again, pulls your attention away to the wrong thing, because it's not relaxing and it's not intrinsically rewarding. Chapter 6.6, bring back childhood. When people are asked when they were the happiest in their lives, I think we can all agree that most people, including me and you, would answer that they were the happiest when they were a kid. Now, why this is, it's pretty obvious. We didn't have any responsibilities. We didn't have any worries. We didn't even have a sense of self. You weren't sitting there as a kid going, oh my God, what is the meaning of life? Am I ever going to make it? Am I ever going to be successful? Will I ever graduate? You weren't thinking about that. You weren't busy with these kinds of thoughts, because we were always busy with something that was intrinsically rewarding to us. And we were able to do that because we were so wealthy in time, and everything was fun. Everything was new, everything was fun, and thus we didn't have time to stop and think. We were always doing something intrinsically rewarding. That's why we were so happy as children. Now, of course, as we grow older, we grow more and more responsibilities, which is natural. But I've actually made a video about this already in the past, recently actually. Awaken the child within. What we want to do is not be childish. We don't want to be childish because being childish is a negative thing. What we want to do is have certain aspects of childhood, and keep these aspects, because a large misconception is that we as adults need to be like this omega serious dude that doesn't smile, doesn't play, nothing, just serious, depressed. That's not true. We still need childlike qualities, such as an adventurous spirit or curiosity. So awaken the child within means to have certain aspects of childhood and implement them now. But what I truly mean by bring back childhood is to literally force yourself to bring back your childhood. Think back to childhood right now, visualize back, and think of a regular activity you did almost every day, or at least like very regularly, that you found super intrinsically rewarding and super fun, that you would call so much fun. And think of which activity you could implement right now. As silly as it may sound, I, for example, am thinking of the times I used to, before bed, I used to just play with they're not really dolls, like teddies. And the funny thing is, I still have the same exact teddies from childhood right here in my room. Not all of them, some of them are still back in Belgium, but I have like the original trio of plushies that I used to have. They're here. So that, for example, is an activity I could perfectly incorporate, because that actually fits perfectly, because with the sleep guide, I mentioned how you need to shut off the lights an hour before you go to bed, and go to bed half an hour before your actual bedtime in order to fall asleep more and more by the time your actual bedtime starts. So by the time your bedtime starts, you're already half asleep, so to speak. But I couldn't really take Hans' advice on reading, because you need light to read, and I can't really sit up straight in my bed, so that's kind of difficult. This is perfect though, because I can just sit there, take my plushies in the dark, and just like make scenarios with them. And I know this kind of sounds like stupid and cringe, and you might think you're a fucking adult and you're still playing with plushies. I'm probably not going to take that activity either, because that's a bit too, that is just a bit too childish. But just think about something similar. If you're the kind of kid who in their childhood used to climb trees, go climb a tree. I used to fight with sticks and pretend they were swords. And in Belgium, I actually recently did that again. I went into the sidewalk into a forest, and I actually uploaded a video, take a walk into the forest, bro, when I was doing that. And after recording a video, I actually took a large log and started practicing against the tree with it. How can I be unhappy when I do that kind of stuff? How can I be unhappy when I'm totally present on everything around me and bringing back a childhood activity? This is the kind of stuff I was talking about when you're the kind of person maybe that needs evidence for everything. If I tell you that to go climb a damn tree and you're sitting there, actually, is there been proof? It doesn't matter. I never climb trees. I'm having a smile on my face thinking about me climbing trees. So I might just implement it. How can you be sad? How can I be sad if I'm climbing a tree? If I'm hitting sticks against a tree and practicing swordsmanship? Oh, but you're an adult, bro. Come on, be serious, be depressed. You're supposed to be an adult. Just take an activity from your childhood and implement it now. How can you be unhappy? Dance to music, bro. Just that, it's that simple. Just have fun. Chapter 6.7, Sunlight, Nature, and Adventure. I've already talked about how in the diet section we should eat more like our ancestors. But overall, really, we should strive to live more like our ancestors, simplistic. Let me tell you my story, my personal desire. I was looking at an episode, I was binging kind of through the new season of Jobless Reincarnation, Mushoku Tensei. I was kind of just skipping to the episodes. At a certain moment in an episode, I just saw the main character called Rudius. He was doing push-ups in his room, and it was just a room made of stones, one bed, and a fireplace. I looked at that. I went to ChatGPT, and all of a sudden, because I've had this desire for a while now, I just started searching up and asking to tell me if there were warrior camps, if there were outdoor camps, nature camps, survival camps, where you quite literally just live in a cabin in the woods and go out with a tribe of men, go out and hunt, fish, explore, learn some survival skills, learn some martial arts, train with each other. I wanted a Spartan-like lifestyle in the outdoors. And this has been my desire for a while now, because I quite literally believe that at a certain point I might go homeless on purpose. And you might hear that and you might think, what is this fucking guy talking about? How weird is this dude? People are homeless and they're depressed. They're sad that they're homeless. But not me. Why are they're sad because they're homeless, because they look at being homeless with the mindset of, I can't afford anything, I have a shit life, I don't have a house. And I understand for most people, of course, being homeless because of the mindset they have around it, it is shit. The way I look at being homeless is total freedom. And for men, we strive for freedom. We work for freedom. We do things that are intrinsically rewarding because those things that are intrinsically rewarding most of the time make us feel free. So I was quite literally just visualizing myself being homeless, being free of, like I said in the section about bullshit, money, and awesome stuff. Escaping the matrix is really letting go of money. If you're homeless and you have no possessions, no money, you're basically free. And I was quite literally just imagining myself homeless, and at a certain point, pulling off these stinky ass clothes, going in a river and grabbing fish. My hair was all long because I was in the wood. I've been homeless and I didn't have a haircut. So I just took a little band, did my hair back, and I was in the river catching fish. Fish that I would then take to like a little hut or cabin that I made myself, light a campfire, and bake these fish myself. And for me, that put a smile on my face. Now, of course, that is just my personal desire and my personal, I believe, purpose in life to live that kind of lifestyle as simple as possible, somewhere in the mountains, somewhere in like a real European city, like, you know, in Greece or in Italy, something like that, simplistic. Instead of my phone, I just want a shelf of books. Instead of lighting, I just want a fire, an open fire. Instead of polyester clothing, I want cotton clothing, or as close to the actual source as possible, like wool and cotton. That's my desire as a man. I want to eat simple. And the best way to eat simple, live clean, and just do all of this stuff is to go somewhere where it's almost unavoidable to live and eat simple and organic. I truly believe that a lot of us could become happy if we just sought out some of these places that are in nature, organic, that take some, not per se survival, but just something in nature, something peaceful where phones really aren't allowed. I was in a vacation in December with, we have Indian friends, and they have like this B&B that they're building right now. And it's really in an unknown part in India, very distant from cities and everything. It's a rural area. And it's my favorite vacation up until now. It still is. I went to Japan recently for 3 weeks, and I love Japan. But that's still my favorite vacation up until now. That vacation of like a week, we stayed there. All the food was organic. It was organically planted. They made it themselves. It was all Indian food. I now love Indian cuisine because of the food I ate there. I couldn't get enough of it. It was all so rich in flavor, so pure, so organic. We drank chai every day. Instead of holding my phone, I was reading a book. It was so peaceful, and you can see the picture I probably used for this thumbnail. That's there. That's there. Look how happy I am there. This is what nature, and so that is what nature does to us. So some things you can do in order to be more adventurous and be more in nature are very simple things. The first thing you can do is take barefoot walks. I'm not kidding. We are disconnected with nature because we now wear shoes. Our feet aren't supposed to look like ours. They're almost supposed to be like flat, connected with the floor, and that's not the case. Your feet, if you walk, just take a barefoot walk every day for 20 minutes, your feet will grow. Your feet will, even if you're an adult, your feet will still be growing just because you just took barefoot walks. You connect with nature more because of this, and for some reason you feel more free. You don't have this sense of pain. If you walk too long with shoes, you eventually start to get this feeling of pain. You don't have this with like barefoot shoes or just barefoot. So try and take a barefoot walk in the sun. And then the second thing is basking in sunlight's grace. I mentioned this in my previous guide as well, the sleeping guide. Basking in sunlight's grace. We lack so much vitamin D that it doesn't matter if you build up your muscles, if I can break your bones like a twig. We lack so much vitamin D. I can still break your bones like a twig, even if you added so much muscle into it. It doesn't matter. We need vitamin D not just for our bones, but also, once again, our testosterone production and sunlight in the morning. Sunlight in the morning is very good for our circadian rhythm, therefore excellent for our sleep, therefore excellent for our productivity, and therefore excellent for our happiness and overall well-being. So bask in sunlight's grace. Literally go out as naked as possible. I know everything I'm saying right now sounds weird, right? But you have to realize the modern world around us is being kind of created nowadays to be as unnatural as possible. Everything is in plastics. Everything you're wearing is, a lot of things you're wearing is polyester. A lot of the things you're eating is processed. We're getting very little sunlight and vitamin D because we're always inside. Everything because we're so comfortable inside and we don't have to go out anymore for anything. Go to a restaurant, don't have to. Uber Eats. Go out with friends, don't have to. Social media and Discord calls or phone calls. And that's just 2 examples. Oh, we have to find a taxi and, actually have a conversation with the driver and tell them where we're going to go. Don't need to, just, you have Uber now. Oh, actually have a conversation with the cashier when they're like doing it. Don't have to, you can get food delivered now, or they just scan it. They don't even talk to you anymore. Everything is so distant now that you need to kind of combine things. So you can as I said, barefoot walk. With a barefoot walk, you're in sunlight. And while you're in sunlight, on the barefoot walk, you can also try the technique I taught you for social connection. You know the steps: smile, greet, talk, that kind of stuff. You have to combine these things in one so that it doesn't add up to be too much. Remember, essential few. That is important. When you're on these barefoot walks and you're not really talking, and you're talking to people, you're still doing that, but you're on barefoot walks, I want you to take a barefoot walk, but not focus on the walk. Focus on adventure. Go outside and take a walk and focus on a sense of adventure. Imagine the map that you're walking, the route that you're walking is kind of like the map in video games. You know how in video games, I think one is GTA, but also Fortnite, and also that. You have the map, but the map is like blacked out. You don't see the locations, you don't really see the specifics, it's blank. In Zelda Breath of the Wild as well, it's blank. You don't see anything, you don't know where you're going. So you have to find these certain points in the map that when you're in the area, it highlights the area. Now you know it by heart and you can see where you're going. Treat the real world like that map of a video game. Explore the world as if the entire world is a gray area. Because be honest with me, how much of your area do you really know? Let's not even talk about city. Let's not even talk about village. How much do you know of your own street? Have you seen every little tiny corner and spot on your street? If you have, branch out to a different location. If you've done that, branch out. Go out on a walk with a sense of exploration. If you're on the same path again and you now see there's a hill there, I'm just going to keep walking the path. Don't do that. You, once again, bring back these childhood qualities like curiosity and adventurous spirit. Go on the hill, sit on the hill, read on the hill, roll down the hill. Go on a walk with a sense of adventure. You're exploring the world like our ancestors did long ago. Once again, that is why I personally believe that going homeless, because you have all the time in the world to just explore, because now we're so busy. Your barefoot walks have to be limited to a certain time. When you're not bound by anything anymore, no schedule, no money, nothing, you can truly live freely. That doesn't mean you live without responsibility. You still live with some responsibility, absolutely. But it's just different responsibilities now, like trying to survive, getting food, getting sleep, exploring as much as possible, optimizing your place, taking care of the fire. You see, you still have a lot of responsibilities, but they're just better responsibilities, maybe for you personally. For me, they are, because they're responsibilities that are intrinsically rewarding for me and that make me feel free. And that's exactly what we want from this guide. Of course, for you, it doesn't have to be going homeless and go into the woods and survive, but it can be something different for you, and you need to seek that and put it and build as much of your schedule around that. Chapter 7, fucked up feelings. We've already had the thoughts that you need to change. We've already gone through the habits that you can change. Now let's get into the feelings that you need in order to be happy and that you can change in order to be happy. Feelings make us happy. Feelings make us happy. So what can we do to maximize these good feelings but minimize the bad, because we need the bad feelings, we need to embrace them, but we still need to minimize them. Embracing doesn't mean that you have to be sad all the time. It just means that you accept the fact that you will be sad sometimes, but we want to still minimize the negative feeling like sadness. And with that said, I want to hop straight into chapter 7.2. Chapter 7.2, embrace negative emotions. Negative emotions suck. It's true. Negative emotions suck, which is why we try to push them away. But by pushing them away, we actually let them resurface more often. Let me give you another study. I call this the polar bear experiment, which was a real experiment, by the way. So let me tell you about the polar bear experiment. So they had two groups. Each group, every time they thought of a polar bear, had to ring a bell. They told one group to not think about the polar bear as much as possible, or to not think about a polar bear. They told the other group to think about the polar bear as much as possible. The group that had to think of the polar bear pressed the bell less and thought about the polar bear less than the group who didn't have to think about the polar bear, because negative always works best. Negative titles in the YouTube space work better than positive titles because negativity somehow just works. It grabs our attention. So when you're trying to forcefully think of a polar bear, it gets tiring after a while. It gets tiring to try and think about this polar bear. Meanwhile, when you're not trying to think of the polar bear, you think about it more often because you're not trying to think about it on purpose, but it just kind of pops up because of that sentence that they told you, do not think about the polar bear. It's difficult to explain, but that it's just psychology. It's just how our brain works. I can't really give more info than that. This was to prove the ironic process theory because, well, of course, it is kind of ironic that the people who were told not to think about the polar bear thought about the polar bear more often than people who had to think of the polar bear. So it's called the ironic process theory. So what we learned from this experiment was that we don't need to push emotions away or feelings away. But what we need to do is embrace or non-judgmentally accept our feelings. This goes for especially depression and anxiety, because depression is kind of like a thermostat that determines how unhappy you are. When we talked about why you deserve to feel unhappy, take this depression as a sort of thermostat to determine that. And it's your job to then signify that signal and say, oh, the fact that I'm getting more and more depressed and feeling depressed is probably a sign I'm doing something wrong. And then you can go and figure out again, why do I deserve to feel depressed? And you go through the entire process again. And the same for anxiety. We need to embrace it and be grateful for it, because anxiety is just a survival mechanism to activate our fight or flight, like the bottom-up attention. It is not something that we should push away and view as our enemy. We should embrace it. It's our ally if we need it, but it can be a disservice if we let it out of control. Whenever you now get a feeling that you might not like, I want you to try out the RAIN method. So RAIN method. For the RAIN method, we start off by recognizing what is happening. What is happening to us currently? What situation are we in? What is happening? What is this feeling? Secondly, we allow the feeling to be just as it is. Don't try to push it away. Don't try, and just let the feeling be. Allow the feeling to be as it is. Then investigate with interest and care. Investigate this feeling. Investigate, where is it coming from? Why am I feeling like this? What is this feeling exactly? And once again with care, which leads us to the last thing to do, nurture with self-compassion. This is how you can embrace negative emotions easier with the RAIN method. Chapter 7.4, regulating fight or flight. As I said before, anxiety or fight or flight is a gift. It's a survival mechanism. Embrace it and be grateful for it. But a way to regulate your fight or flight is very simply just breathe. Just breathe, bro. It's that simple. I've made a video in the past talking about breathe like a king. That's exactly what you want to do here. Breathe. The way you want to breathe is into the stomach, and so into the stomach through the nose, and then out through the mouth. You want to inhale for about 4 or 5 seconds, and then exhale for as long as possible. So just do that with me, and you'll instantly feel you become happier, and you also feel a lot more de-stressed instantly. So in, out, in, out. And this works better when standing up, because for some reason, breathing through the belly while lying down or standing up just works better than sitting down. So try doing it while standing up. It's better for you. And when you're standing up, push your shoulders back, chest forward, and have your back as straight as possible when doing this. Don't be afraid to just let your belly, because people try to suck in their belly a lot of times now. Don't. Let it bulge out. Chapter 8. One final study. I want to give you one final study if you're still not convinced about what happiness is or what truly makes us happy. This was a study that was conducted by Harvard and started in the year 1938. And you might think, well, isn't that data outdated now? It's been going on for 85 years. It's still going on. It's called the Grant Study, a study conducted by Harvard, and it's the longest, one of the longest study, and certainly the longest well-being study ever. So what they did this study for was to see adult development. The study followed two groups. One group of men who were adults who were sophomore students at Harvard, and another group of boys who grew up in Boston's poorest neighborhood. So they took these two groups to see the correlation of what truly makes you happy, because, is it money or is it something else? Because money is a big factor here now. So what truly makes you happy then? The participants were tracked throughout their entire life, and they're actually still following their grandkids, their kids and grandkids to this day. I'm telling you, it's such an amazing study, and it, of course, has been going on for 85 years. They followed them through their entire lives to see what made them the happiest through their life. And the result was that these individuals were the happiest because of well-maintained social connections, or quality social connections. The study revealed that quality connections are closely linked to a happy life. And this is why it's so important for us to seek out brotherhood and maintain these brothers. Maintain them. In self-improvement, you might think that all your friends aren't friends, because it is true, some of them are drinking buddies, some of them are escapism buddies. That's a term I use, by the way, for people, escapism buddies. They don't help you push, they don't push you over your problems and hurdles. They kind of pull you away from them with escapism. That's escapism buddies. And I have quite a few escapism buddies, but I'm also happy that I have actual friends. Friends, my definition of friends, and maybe yours as well, is that friends are people who truly care about each other and want to push each other forward. They want to push each other forward and lift each other up as much as possible. When a friend is talking about their problems, they can sit there and listen patiently. You can see the empathy and the care on their faces. If something good happens to a friend, you can see the smiles and the proudness on their face. That's a true friend. You want these kinds of people. These kind of quality social connections are heavily tied to a happy life. Family and friends. Another result in the study showed that the candidates who maintained and had these quality connections lived longer, lived healthier, and lived with more fulfillment in life overall. Another thing the study showed is quality over quantity. The quality of friendships is way more important than a quantity of friends. As always, quality rules over quantity. It's the same with sleep, it's the same with the content I'm making now, and it's the same with happiness. Quality over quantity. If you genuinely only have two friends, but they're true brothers, you don't really need any other friends, to be honest. You're way better off than the guy that has 100 friends, but none of them really matter to him that much. Another thing the study showed is the importance of intimate relationship. This means marriage. It showed how marriage is so beneficial to happiness and overall well-being of both parties in marriage. Of course, I'm talking about the warm and supportive marriages here. The true traditional type of marriages. And this study was conducted in 1938. So, these probably were traditional marriages at the time. So probably most, if not all of these marriages at the time were warm and supportive marriages. And this is why you should heavily research, or I will do the research for you, honestly, how to love a woman properly. Really. How to find the right woman, find a quality woman. Intimate relationship is not just one-night stand, all this bullshit. This just fucking around and being a playboy. That doesn't give you any sense of happiness. Barely even gives you pleasure, actually. You're just screwing the same hole everyone is. There's no intimacy, there's no real love, there's no real connection. It's just a woman, it's just a hole. And women don't like to be treated like objects, but honestly, you're treating them like an object when you're a playboy. You are. And you're playing yourself like an object as well. You're playing your intimacy and your love. You're playing it like an object, like this tool that you can just use and throw away and discard when you're done with it. Doesn't work like that. We need to seek intimate relationships because I truly believe that being a fuckboy, being a playboy, that can be very damaging to your mental health and to your level of intimacy, because I don't believe that you can have the same level of intimacy after being a fuckboy as you could have had when you just stayed kind of traditional. Which is why I'm gonna be a proud virgin for many years to come, bro. For many years. I'm gonna build myself up and then I'll see and seek a wife. That's all I want. Study also showed that it's better for your overall physical health to have good social connections. So listen, it's literally better for your body, for your physical well-being, to have intimate connections and social connections, because it protects your well-being and it lowers your stress. It lowers your stress to have social connections and intimate relationships. It lowers your anxiety. Isn't that just amazing? All with one simple thing, talking to people. And one final thing, the conclusion, lessons from the longest study on happiness. The Harvard study of adult development underscores the significance of nurturing meaningful relationships. Investing in close relationships, whether through friendship or marriages, can lead to greater happiness and a more fulfilling life journey. That is the conclusion of the study from Harvard, the grand study. So if there's one thing that you must do in order to become happy, let social connection at least be one of them. Try it out. I hope that with this guide, you have learned, you have taken notes, you have taken the actionable steps, and you have learned more about how you can become happy. You have broken through the walls of limiting belief and allowed yourself to grow as a person. If you've watched until the end, I cannot tell you enough how proud of I am, really. You did something only 1% of the earth will do. You watched a guide that's probably, I've been recording for like over 3 hours in total. And although I'm gonna edit some stuff out, I still believe that this guide is gonna be like 2 hours minimum. So if you watched 2 hours, probably over 2 hours of a full guide on happiness, and you've been able to pay attention, you've taken some actionable steps, and you're excited to become happy, then I have nothing more to teach you. at least not in terms of happiness. Look out for a next full guide on Monday, and please join our community. Now that you know the importance of social connection, the one way you can become more socially connected is to join a community of like-minded people. While my community is currently still small, I believe that through this video and upcoming future videos, I'll be able to build a larger and strong community for you. This community will have massive value, such as weekly tribe meetings. Every other week, I'll post a private lecture, like the Essential Few lecture. You'll have a community of like-minded individuals. I'll do coaching calls and we'll discuss the future of my channel, what you'd like to change, what time you'd like me to upload, and we'll do a weekly activity as well. And you'll also be able to find an accountability buddy and take daily accountability. So if you want to grow as a person even more and get free value, join the Discord community in the description below. Being weak is nothing to be ashamed of. Staying weak is.